It's just so funny that you didn't know that I was bald.
That's hilarious.
Oh, you've got rid of your hair. Well,
Where's
yeah,
you put
10
it?
years ago.
Because you've got such a strong beard, I thought, there's hair to go with it.
No, that's all baldies have got no hair. That's very true. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Outside Crowd podcast. And alongside myself and Ryan,
Yo.
we're very happy to have another guest, Dan Watson, from Watson Tree Services Limited. Say hello.
Hello. Yo.
That's the way to do it, right?
So, I guess we'll just start with, you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you started, and what you do now.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
No
it's
problem, dude.
Really good to hear your podcast. Since Bill told me about this,
Yes.
I've listened to a few episodes. It's wicked to have something on our industries, the outdoor industries, and go for it. So, I'm Dan Watson. I met Bill because we share the same yard.
Oh, yeah.
We do very similar jobs. We've got very similar companies. And I've run a tree surgery company now for about 4 years. And before that, I worked for a few other tree surgery companies. This is my sort of second career. So when I left school and all that, I went into the Royal Marines.
Did you?
I forgot that, yeah.
I spent 8 years there.
You could have told me that. I've been taking a piss out of him all the beginning of this. Do you know what I mean? You could have told me that.
So I've calmed down a bit now.
Good.
That was my first sort of career. Did 8 years there, and I've done probably about 8 years of tree surgery now.
Wow.
So that's brought me through my 20s, and I love it. It's wicked. I sort of fell into tree surgery after the Royal Marines because originally I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew it was a great career when I was young and single, and once I met my wife, I knew I needed to sort of move on because you're away for big stretches of time, and no regrets. Great fun. But now I get my evenings and weekends. We got 3 lovely children who we need to spend time with because otherwise they just grow up.
Of course, it's their time, not yours. That's it.
So I made the decision to leave the Marines, and when that happened, you get these learning credits from the forces. However much time you've spent there, you get credits or money towards qualifications.
That's pretty good.
I was originally thinking about carpentry, but that, like electrics or plumbing or other things, you need to do apprenticeships. I had a mortgage to pay for at the time, so it's like, this is never going to sustain.
£7.50 a week or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was looking at what to do, and before it was use it or lose it, I had to use these credits. I thought, I'm going to do a chainsaw course. I thought
nice.
that looks fun, and I was just scrolling through this list of courses on the system there, and went to do it, and absolutely loved it.
Wicked.
And
Was it like an amalgamated course, or was it? Did you?
Some ex-military do the full whack in about a month, but no, I had like £2,000 to spend on courses, so I did the groundy courses. So I did the cutting and then tree felling. Did that with Kingswood, which is still there, a really good company down near sort of Hadlow, Tunbridge, and did that. Then as I was leaving, you get sort of 2 or 3 months just to resettle, basically. And so I worked for a company in Maidstone, and they taught me lots. A guy called Gary over there, he sort of taught me how to sort of groundy climb. By then I was sort of like a bit older than the other groundies. I was 28, sort of teenager or 20. So I was really wanted to get stuck in, loved it, and then the rest is history, really. Nice. I did my climbing course, about 6 months to a year after that, and same using those credits, which is great. Which I think you get quite a few ex-military in tree surgery and outdoor.
Oh wow,
spaces.
That's really good to know. To be fair,
so,
Do you think there's quite a few skills that cross over between the military and tree work?
Some are similar. I mean, like, I know you look at it in one way, it's totally different, but actually you're working with a team outdoors. It doesn't matter if it's wet and miserable and stuff. You're used to working in that. get a hot shower at the end of the day, which is nice.
Oh, yeah,
Instead of just being
Yeah,
in the field all the time. But yeah, swap your rifle and your guns for chainsaws and head trimmers.
Equally dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
The showers are safer though.
There we go. Yeah.
very good, Ryan. Very fucking good.
That story can be for the next episode.
There you go. Yeah, right. There you
Different
go.
podcast. So you worked for a few people before, yeah?
Yeah. So company over in Maidstone, Quality, they're brilliant.
Quality, yeah.
A guy called Gary
Quality,
Everest, really nice guy.
How long for?
That was for about 1.5, 2 years.
Okay, yeah,
Then,
nice.
and then for OTS, which was the other
Yeah.
company, which is where I met Alex Price, my old business partner.
Oh yes, okay.
So going into that, we went into business together.
And he worked at OTS as well, right?
He worked at OTS
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Then I went to another company, Aztec, which is based up Western
yeah.
Way.
Yeah.
And worked for 3 different tree surgery companies, and then Alex was still at OTS. We met there, got on really well. Both, loved how each other worked and messaged each other. He actually messaged me asking for a truck to buy or preference on what one I'd choose, and I was like, just got chatting, went for a beer, and about 4
Next
years
thing.
ago, we started.
What was he
started-
thinking about, just going on his own then? Was he?
I think he was thinking about going that way, and he wanted to, get a 4x4 and do a bit of sort of
Like
private
private
work,
work
and
and
then
stuff.
slowly go self-employed and do that kind of thing. And then we talked about it over a beer, and we thought, actually, let's.
By the morning
go-
you
go
were
all
running
in.
the world.
Yeah, well, exactly.
That's how
yeah.
those nights go, don't they?
Yeah, they're good, those nights.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Have you done any subbing?
not
So, like solo, a bit of like subcontract climbing and stuff. Or
So while I worked for the other companies, I did like weekend work.
Yeah.
And so like lots of private work, and it just grew arms and legs. That got more and more, and then I was like, well, I've got so much on at the moment. I handed some to my employers at the time and said, I've got this work. So, it's too big for me to handle. You go for it.
Yeah.
I'd never been self-employed. I was always employed.
okay.
And sort of always, bought that from the Marines. I'd always had a monthly wage, and just carried that through. Didn't really know any better, to be fair. Just that was the
Yeah.
way it was. And then, Alex was self-employed, and but no, I never dotted around different companies. I always was fixed at one company and did my own private work, and then after that,
Aside.
just carried on.
Cool.
So
And then so you
yeah.
decided to come together and start a business.
Yeah, and he was quite spontaneous. He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." At the time, me and my wife were like, "Still, yeah, that sounds like a great idea," but my wife had just given birth to twins at the time. They've just turned 4 now. So
Oh, lovely.
yeah, so we've got a 6-year-old girl who's just about to turn 7, and twins just turned 4. But just as the business has been
Of
going
course,
on,
that's the way it goes.
we've that's it. That's sharing our time between running this and family time as well, and them. So tonight has actually got me skiving off.
Business,
yeah.
sort of business related.
So it's great. So it's just balancing family and the business, but love it, and we know just how to crack on, and
nice.
it's just busy times, but it's good fun.
So you started out with him, and then it was only a wee while after that. Did he go off? You said he went off somewhere, and you've kept it going yourself, and that's what the rebrand is for, and that's what's Watson now.
Exactly.
fair,
Yeah.
fair,
So he last year. So we were doing it for about 3 years. Last year, again, went to the pub, and he was like, "Got something to say? I've decided to move to Australia." I was like, "Fair play, mate." And he was like, "Yeah, probably
How's this
quite
gonna
soon
work?
as well, in about 3 months." So
Cool.
he had totally settled down here, and bought a house nearby in Southborough, and settled the business with me. Had fully wanted to go for it,
Yeah.
and then suddenly got a visa come in for Australia, so decided to suddenly go. And his partner at the time, she's from up north and wanted to relocated down here, didn't quite settle here, but then they actually met in Australia as well, travelling. So
Right,
they
okay.
suddenly had a dream that they wanted to go out there. And he does tree work out there, lots of eucalyptus trees, they use loads of cranes and big chippers out there.
It's a very different kind of work, isn't it?
Yeah. So
Well,
he's out there
it.
doing that now, like self-employed subbying work, and we've chatted a few times, and he seems like he's having a good time out there, really.
Cool. So you happy you took it all on? This is all you?
Well, it was a shock to start with, you know.
Yeah, did he know? He didn't really give you any notice or anything.
No, not really. He wanted to do that, and fair play to him. But at the time, it was a shock because it didn't really leave me any options. The options were to fold the business or to carry it on, and buying his half out of the business was it's the biggest payment I've ever made, really. And so I've finished paying that, which is a relief. So we can carry on as our own. And then we were joint directors, and luckily my wife Becca, she's fantastic with admin and running businesses. So running this business is the first one she's done, but she worked in running events and managing
events management.
A lot of stuff there as well. So she's quite good at organisation and just
what you need.
It's
what you need. It's what you need. Let me go out in the rain and someone else do that. That's exactly.
And I'm good at working outdoors, and she's really good on the computer and stuff. So she makes sure I remember everything, and I don't leave anyone behind if someone's got in touch, and I just totally forget about it.
Yeah, that's great.
She's on top of that, so it's great because she had her job beforehand, was planning on going back, but with the childcare costs of twins going into nursery, it was it was unfeasible for her to go back to work. But actually, 3 days a week, our kids go into nursery, and then she can help me out with the business.
That's
and
great.
So she's now my joint director, and it's the only way we could sort of stay running. So it was good. So we sort of like figured it out, made a plan, and at last year and at the time, it was a big shock, quite stressful. Mm-hmm. Now it's like,
and that was a year ago. So you've been going a year on both of you, basically.
So he moved to Australia last November, and we left it amicably. It was tough, negotiating, buying his half of the company, which I'd never done before. I'd never worked out how to sell a company and how much it's worth, and still it's very.
That is tricky. That one, isn't it? Because it's like, I know if you're selling to someone else, like who's not involved already, then you should be. Normally they'll advertise it for like 3 times the annual turnover or something stupid, which I like. There's so many small businesses that like they're not worth that, you know. But I've always been under the impression, like not the impression, but like I think a small business you just kind of buy the machinery that it comes with, and then also a little bit of extra money for the phone line or whatever. Yeah, and then that's it. I feel like they're not. Otherwise, they're like impossible to sell. But I suppose it's completely different if it's already your business partner.
Yeah, it was.
How did you agree it?
Well, he had other ideas, like 3 times the annual turnover, which is extortionate and unaffordable, really. So that was the first idea, and then we had to research how to calculate it, and he had a higher figure, I had a lower figure, and we worked it out until we came
to a middle section.
And like you said, like it's the assets, like tangible and intangible assets. That's how we worked it out in the end. So what we own, the trucks, the material goods, and things like that. That was probably about half of it, and the other half was the reputation.
Yeah, really. The business, the name,
like you
brand.
guys.
There's a value in that, isn't there?
Yeah, website reviews, stuff like that. Yeah.
Because a couple of things I want to go on about that. I just want to ask you, how you felt about your transition from going as an employed person to then owning a business, and then also owning a business with a partner, and what that's like, to going to running it on your own. I know you said your wife is, but she's obviously doing a very much a behind the scenes thing. But I mean, like Alex would have a much better idea about what is involved in tree surgery. So so how did that transition, and where did you feel like it was hard, and what was
so going from being employed by someone else, it was it was good because it gave me a really good start up from coming from a totally different environment, to learning new skills, starting from the bottom as a groundie, going to climb, and then leading a team.
Yeah.
which was great to build those skills and work in a team and sort of like understand the industry really. So I don't think I could have ever done this without actually being employed by someone else before. And I don't know if it was the same for you guys. It was my business management, I didn't know how to do it, so I'm really happy that I've done that. I've learnt the skills, but now it's brought a whole new interest on managing finances, accounts, social media, website, customer relations and things like that. You don't just do your job, go back home, get you're
stops.
on the computer doing quotes and invoices and communications with all the customers, which a lot of that Becca really helps me with, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
so
really
it's
good.
so I'm really happy with that. But each transition I think has been exciting and scary at the same time. So at the time it was like starting with Alex, I couldn't have done it any other way because I said to him, I've got a young family.
Yeah,
they're what I left the Marines for, to spend time with them. So I need to
make sure that carries on.
value that time, and as well as so I've got that to take care of, as well as this business, which starting a business is full time as well, isn't it? So I gave him that, and he fully respected that, and we took it in turns to do quotes, do admin in the nights. He'd get straight back from work, be sorting all the quotes out and things like that, and I'd put the kids to bed and be on it doing the same. And so it worked really well with two of us, because he backed me up with that, and he would do this extra research and admin, which I didn't have time to do outside being on the tools and up the trees. So he really helped me with that and growing the company and sorting it out. We could bounce off each other. And I think one thing we disagreed on was the height of the tripod ladders. We were like, I was like, no, we need the biggest one. And he's like, or other way around, I can't remember. But we met in the middle and had 14 foot instead of these 20 foot ladders.
They're ridiculous. Those really tall
tiny
ones.
So
scary.
So generally, we came to a compromise, and it worked really well. And in the end, we came to a compromise, with the price
on the out as well.
Coming out of the business, that was a tougher decision to make, because instead of making a decision together, we were sort of making a decision against each other, really. And it was more in his court because it was his decision to make, and it wasn't really mine. But sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, that's fine. But so there's positives to both running, with a partner. And, because it's like me and Ryan obviously run our businesses on our own. And that's why we have JB here normally with us, and he does business advice and consultancy and stuff, and that's been massively helpful for us because as you've said, we're very much like practical men, and that's we know that part of the job inside and out. And then when it comes to running a business, I was at the start just winging it so much, and you try and do the job and you try and do everything else, and you're like, boy, and it's all building up, and then you're like, Christ, and then just having that impetus of someone being able to take some load off you, and then also just being able to share ideas and stuff, that was really helpful. But at the start, I never had that. But I can imagine that's especially when you're starting a company, it's really helpful to have.
Definitely, and listening to your podcast as well and doing that, it's brilliant, because I've gone from being in a partnership with another tree surgeon, bouncing off ideas. Different ways of doing things, different techniques to climb the trees, and different kit to buy. And then listening to stuff like this, it's brilliant, because you go from being to what we all are now is running it by yourself. And so you do need someone to bounce off of sometimes, and when you're making decisions, and I'm second guessing myself, thinking, am I doing the right thing here? Is this definitely the right decision? But actually, to hear on the podcast that you guys are going through very similar things, it's very.
But at the start, you're like, is this just me? And then you hear it, you're like, that's one thing I've found very helpful from being on this podcast. I'm like, shit, everyone actually's got the same issues,
that's it. That's why it started. That is why it started, because everyone was having the same issues, and it is nice to hear. It's nice to hear. I spoke to a friend of mine today. I was quoting a project, and I thought to myself, God, this is not right. This this needs to happen. That should have been that. Maybe we didn't get it because of this. And I made a phone call and I was like, look, this is what. They were like, yeah, but that is what it is. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're right, and I was like, God, that was close, that was close, and nearly went down that lane, and it was like, no, actually, I think the whole way here, myself and Bill were going to be we were going to have a chat about the podcast, and we ended up talking the whole way until we got to the end of the drive about business and about where we're at, and
we're like, fuck, we haven't even spoken about what we're supposed to talk about later.
But it's really nice.
There's so much to it, and it is really interesting to talk about it with like-minded people who can bounce off each other and really understand it. So it's great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think now it'd be quite cool to go on to where your business is at now and where you want it to go. Because it's you and it's the 3 other guys, is it?
Yeah.
And you're still like climbing every day, are you? Or?
I am, yeah. So I share it. I've got another climber who does it with us. So it's nice to share that load.
Yeah.
And when I'm not around, then we went to Centre Parks last week with family holiday, which is great. So that was one thing. So to go back onto the partnership.
Yes.
Yeah. That was one thing we did.
Yes.
I went on holiday. Alex went on holiday. He went to New Zealand for 5 weeks, I think. And like you said, when you go on holiday to India and things like that, it's really nice to have someone who you can just hand over to, and the company's in safe hands.
Doesn't stop. Nothing.
Yeah,
It carries
it's
on.
either a business partner or a very good contract manager. That's fortunately what I
Exactly.
have, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also it's actually I would say it's quite a big skill to even have the trust. Because a lot of people, I mean, I know, I'm not going to name any names, but I know a few people who own companies who could never do that. They need to be there.
Yeah, and having that understanding, I think that's probably where you've had that. You've never had it not being like that. I think whereas myself and Bill have always been the ones doing the job, and suddenly you've got to let it go. You've got to let it. But once you do that, you find the right team member to do that, or that team member is just the perfect fit, and you want to give them everything. Everything they ask for. Yeah, go for it, because you look at them thinking, God, he's actually doing it better than I would. Or it's like and that's because that person's on the job doing that and that only, and I'm doing all this other stuff. And it's like I couldn't do it like that because I had so much in my head. It's like it's nice. Having the team leader like that is perfect.
It's great, isn't it? It's quite nerve-wracking, and I think as experience builds up and you build your team, and you learn to trust your guys more and more the more you spend time with them. And like today we split into 2 teams. I was doing stump grinding with one of our lads, and then the other 2 lads, they went off and did a totally different job, some more tree work. And we were doing the stump grinding, thinking, cool, that we want to get this done, and then maybe we can go and give them a hand.
Yeah.
And got to about midday, and they phoned us up. Well, they phoned us up like, oh, do you guys need a hand? I was like, well, I wanted to give you guys a hand, but fair play, lads. You've smashed out that job and got it done. They came and gave us the bigger leaf blower, which was really handy because we made a massive mess. And it was all good. And they helped us out for a bit. Went back, had an earlier day, and it's really refreshing to be like, I can just leave those guys to do that job, and not have to worry.
But they're thinking the same you're thinking. I can give you a hand, that's amazing. I think that would be
fantastic.
that'd be nice.
And it's great to have teams that really look out for each other.
For sure.
There's some individuals who you can't quite do that, so it's great to have build a strong team.
That's the main thing. I always do is build a strong team. I've had 2 clients today say, which is lovely. I went to one project and the client came out and said, so before you go, can I just say that all of your team are absolutely lovely. They have been so polite. Everything's so tidy. It's just been a delight to have them here. And I was like,
so nice to hear.
It's okay. Thank you very much. It's lovely. And because it is. It's like these guys are, they're the face of our company, and it doesn't matter if I'm there or they're there. We are going to do a fantastic job. And hearing it back, it's just like, yes, boys, let's go.
It's lovely. It's a very rewarding part of the job, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's where you're at the moment.
Moving on. So 4 of us at the moment. We've got sort of one team. Sometimes like today, split into 2 smaller teams. And if Alex stayed on, we might have split into 2 teams more and expanded a bit more. But where I'm at the moment, I want to really make this company robust. That we've got. That's where we're at. I think. If we could have expanded a bit quicker and just gone at it with 2 people covering holidays and cracking on, where we've bought that half of the business, we've got family to look after. I really want to build this team and make sure we're all happy because I want to expand. I don't want to go crazy, but I'd like to have 2 teams and then see how that goes. I think, but
2 teams of 3.
Maybe a team of 2 and a team of 3 to start with.
Yeah, because I've always heard just from various people that 2 teams of 3 is enough to be off the tools full time to pay for you completely. And then anything, well, I mean, it depends how much money you want, but then it just means you've got enough money to play with to pay
to be comfortable.
stuff.
Yeah, and then you've got enough going on like quoting and admin and things, and managing the 2 teams to do yourself. I think, we're never going to be as young as we were, so it's when we're doing a physical job. Yeah, exactly. I'm holding on for dear life. I'm glad you're not filming this podcast.
It's just so funny that you didn't know that I was bald.
That's hilarious.
Oh, you've got rid of your hair. Well,
Where's you put
10 years ago.
Because you've got such a strong beard. I thought there's hair to go with it.
That's all baldies have got. That's very true. And if you haven't got a beard, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You look like a bald egg, which is what you don't want. Well, that's cool. Okay, so you're trying to get it just as robust as possible at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah, so I've got a really strong team. I just want to work on that and carry on with that. And we've got a good amount of work coming in. But I don't want to just go 2 teams. And the main thing I don't want is the standards to drop or suddenly drop off. Because I want to make sure we've got a team or 2 teams that know exactly what they're doing and slowly build that. And I don't want to just go in too quick. And whether we are still getting in loads of work, I don't at the moment we're getting our customers are really happy with what we're doing, and we're getting repeat work coming in. So I don't want to suddenly drop the standards and not be able to it's like you said about that management, being able to manage it on your own and then learning to trust your team and go out there and like going away last week, it's great. The team just cracked on and did a really good job, and it's really nice to have that feeling of just like I can just let them do their thing, and they really are happy just to be on their own. So I think it's just slowly building that to trusting them and giving them more responsibility, and then being able to do that and be happy to crack on, because as it gets bigger and bigger, you have to take more of a step back and trust them to do that.
I think you have to change your what I've realised, the way you think about work completely changes, because there's 6 of us now on the tours, and then Amy does the office stuff and JB helps, and it's you've got loads of mouths to feed, and then I remember JB said to me once, why can't you we take more people on, and we instead of, I was always worried about having enough work booked in. I was like, I want to have 6 weeks or more booked in. I always did. And then we was like, no, you should be pulling that back. And if you've only got 2 weeks, and also, do you know, someone told me, Oz Trees guy, he said the same thing to me. He was like, get the money in and bring it close as possible, and then also you kind of in that position where you can go, if someone says, can you do this in a couple of weeks and it's a good job, and you can go, yes, I can. But if you're booked up for weeks and weeks and weeks, and that's a lovely position to be in, it's really nice, and I get it. And also if you've got a family or whatever, that's such a nice place to be in, and you're okay, I can move around or whatever. But when you're trying to accumulate money and trying to win jobs, I'm in a very different position to you, and it's a very different way of thinking about work and scheduling. Yeah, well,
like you said then, I mean, we are now in a position where we're booked up into the new year, which is it's a good position to be in, but at the same time, there's people want stuff done now, and
we miss our new potential client.
We can do it, but it's
just
accommodating that.
But then I suppose you're thinking about you said if you booked it into New Year, then if you just squashed it in 2 months, you got 2 more people, then you got 2 of those trucks out busy all the time. But then just the thought of doing that is it becomes a nightmare. It does. It's so much more work in that, and I really, really, really do see I used to do that a lot, just having the work booked up and having it's a much nicer, easier way to deal with things.
100%. I like living on the edge, mate. Don't know what I want to do next week.
It is though, isn't it? You find yourself running, and as you know, I mean, I've been on the tools this week, but most of the time I'm driving around quoting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I feel like I'm an on the road salesman now.
Yeah.
You see my car, I drive a fucking taxi. I drive around in the hybrid, getting out, looking at jobs, and then I'm like uploading it, and then Amy's sending it off. I'm like, fuck, I'm not a tree surgeon anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not, and then that's when I get the opportunity to go back on it, and I'm like,
I know. I felt like I had to come off and do a few quoting days to realise how good it is to be on the tools.
Yeah,
I loved it, and and when you're on the tools, you're like, oh god,
I don't want to do this.
I'm aching, I'm cold, I'm wet. But then when you do like only a little bit of quoting, you're like, well, no, I haven't actually done anything today. You have, you've been mentally thinking it out and doing the admin and stuff. And
I've had about 10 cups of coffee as well. At the
It's
top.
absolutely climbing the walls.
Yeah, I'm just like finding excuses to do things I don't need to do. But yeah, it's a difficult transition, isn't it?
But how do you find that? Because I worry, even when we spoke earlier this year and we were like, it's a quiet time of year earlier in the year, and it got quiet for us as well. But, to the point where I'm like, oh, it's getting too quiet. And then you start thinking, well, what am I going to do if I don't have enough work for the lads? Yeah. How do you find that? Because that's
scary, mate. To be honest with you.
So I was like paying the guys out of my savings and stuff, literally. And we were running at a loss for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think we looked at it recently, and it was like, I'm pretty sure April and May we made a loss, like a not an insignificant loss either. So 2 months in a row.
Right. Yeah.
And then you're pulling out savings, you're paying people like that. But it's like I just the team we had was great, and I didn't want to sacrifice that. I was like, when it gets busy again, we can't then go, all right, mate, we're all good now. Can you come back? You want to keep it. So we've always said and it's annoying because I'm not quite in the position I'd like to be, where you should always have 3 months running. You should always have 3 months in the account that can pay for 3 months of your running.
For 3 years.
So those issues,
trying to do that.
those issues. But also that's another reason for me is that what I need to be off the tools, which I'm not at the moment enough. I'm trying to muck in where I can because we do have it's a busy time of year. But realistically, I should be spending most of my time making sure that the guys are busy all year round, and that's like what your job becomes, is like running around like a headless chicken, winning work, and when work comes to you it's all easy, but when you're going out and hunting it all the time, that's when the work really you're there is quite times a year, but if you actually spent all of your time chasing all those old leads that you had, you'd probably be fine. But you get into it, I remember when we weren't busy, I was like, I'm trying to muck in to try and get stuff done, and then I was like, fuck, I'm actually not even getting more work in, so it is a bit of a catch-22 really. But yeah, it's also quite scary, but I think it's a very nice thing to be able to go, right, I'm booked into the new year, and now this time between then and there is also I'm booking into the spring, because that's the shit part, isn't it? Spring.
Oh, it is. But I also like, as the years go by and we build up this experience, you sort of understand that a bit more, and so each year's a bit different. And I was listening about you guys saying that this year's been particularly hard with the economy, so it's hard to
Did you feel that as well?
Yeah, a little bit. Around the same time you said, it's got quite quiet with work, I thought, it has got quiet as well, but I was doing quite a lot of quotes, but the percentage that I was getting back saying we want to go with that work was it suddenly dropped off that time of year. No, it's back and busy again now, but but you're thinking, we're not doing anything differently. I'm trying to stay very consistent with my pricing and with the fairness of what we're doing, and I think you think, am I doing something wrong, or is it the economy, and you're trying to work out what's going on there. But it's nice to see that flow year in, year out, because we know, we're like, it's bird nesting season,
exactly,
it's a quiet time of year, and is it similar in landscaping?
Well, no, I think it's summertime's our year. It's for the planting. You've got this time of year, in the autumn. You've got that side of things. You're trying to get stuff done before the wet season comes, but there was parts of this year where we should have been really busy. No one was busy, right, and it was like, suddenly if there's something on a project that changes, you could get the smaller jobs in, do them, and then come back, or whatever. But there wasn't that option, so you were then going, hang on, there isn't the workload coming in. I think one month with the previous year, it's something like we had 14 quotes out for patios, or a number or something like that, and then this year we had one, and it was one inquiry, and you're just like, what is going on here? And I think that's what it was, just silent. It was just silent out there. It was just there was a it was very, very quiet, and I think that everyone felt that across the industry. It's nice to know it's picking up a wee bit now, but
I wonder if there's more to stop you from working than us in terms of like weather and shit.
I'd say
because ours is like wind, isn't it? Like if it's really high wind,
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, this is dangerous. You can't do this. Either that, or I'm going to put something in someone's hands.
Yeah, like extreme rain when it's thunder and lightning. You want to get out the trees, or bad snow. I found.
Yeah, bad snow.
That's only stopped us for a few days. In the last few years. Snow stopped us for, I think it was a day or an afternoon, because we were going down I think it was the bottom of Yew Tree Road in Tunbridge Wells, and it was just the chipper started skidding. Let's call that job off.
Let's change
that.
Well,
I mean, if it slightly starts spitting and the guys have got a big hedge cutting job on, they're like, no, it's too dangerous. We're not doing that.
Big cloud comes over, it's like, oh mate, look at that. Well, I think maybe for us it would be maybe for us it is a little bit with the weather. I think you guys probably crack on most of the stuff we can. It depends on the heavy rain with the laying, and we do have a 4x4 gazebo, but it does depend what you're doing. We do try and work with the weather as much as possible. We'll have a look on it. We'll have a meeting on a Monday and a Wednesday in the morning, have a look at the weather and go, right, what does that change anything? So going to work for us, we're working on a project for 2 months or however long. It's like we don't, the weather there, if you get to the Wednesday and go, oh, why are we doing this in the rain? It's like, well, hang on a minute, you knew it was coming, mate. Change what you're doing. So we always try and do a dig out, get up to MOT, and then go, right, what's the weather doing? We try our best, but
it's very unpredictable sometimes, isn't it?
Well, especially when the weather app's saying it's going to be, the sun's going to be splitting the trees, and you're standing there going, I can't get across the yard from here to there without getting washed away. It's been so, I don't know what the hell's going on with the weather app for the last year or two. It's just been,
it just, mate, it doesn't,
they lie.
They lie.
What's going on at all?
It completely lies. Well, we are unfortunately running out of a bit of time now. But the conversation has just completely run away from me. Though. I thought we'd been talking for like 20 minutes, and we've been talking for 35, which is amazing.
35?
Yeah,
it's gone quick. It's been really good.
So thank you very much for joining us. I mean, where can if people listening, where can they find you?
We're based Tunbridge Wells, but we cover sort of the Kent and South East area really. So they can find us on watsondtrees.co.uk, and we're online. We're on social media as well, on Instagram and Facebook, and so if they want to get in touch for local tree work,
well, I don't do that.
Well, I was going to say, if your tyres end up going down in your yard, you know exactly who it is.
I think we're going to clip that bit.
I was going to say, thank you for having me on, because some tree surgeons, you drive past, you wave, and you get a glare, and some
what
some
is
you
that?
get a wave.
I've never understood that, because I wave all the time, and then most
Yeah.
people just look at me.
Do you not get the Labour Championships? We set our labourers up with other laborers every year. No, it's like fight to the death kind of thing. You don't do that.
Fair one. That sounds nice.
Sorry, we should not have said that. No, it's
Let's find a space in the yard.
We just don't talk about Fight Club, I guess.
So Instagram, Facebook, and your website.
Yeah, definitely.
Sure, that's cool. And then also some potential could be some collabing. Some tree surgery collabing, because that's also very helpful. So you can find down there.
Well, I might have a few jobs there, so I'll give you.
There we go. Yeah.
So
it's nice to bounce off each other instead, and because we found other companies I've worked for and know of. It's there's egos there, and like I said,
sure.
some glare at you and be like, no, they're other tree surgeons, but there's enough work out there to all work together.
Crowd, bro.
And,
I think it's an interesting story. That's why I wanted to get you on here. It's good to hear another tree surgery perspective, but. Thank you very much for coming on. Appreciate that.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed this.
No worries, and goodbye from me and Ryan, I guess.
I'll see you in part 2.
See you in part 2.